Welcome to Credit Delegation Roulette, a randomized payment app where participants who share a cost burden play a game of chance to determine who will cover the entire expense. Each game has 3 parts. In the first part, players initialize the game settings. This includes choosing the number of participants, setting the value of the transaction, and entering the destination address of the payment, which is where the money will be sent at the end of the game. Players can also choose to use CCIP to send the payment across chains from Ethereum Sepolia to Arbitrum Sepolia in this demo. The transaction to initialize these settings is sent to the game contract, which maps these variables to a game ID. Once the transaction is mined, the game ID is returned to the player in an event and used to begin the second part of the game. Here, each player agrees to play the game. Then they must pass a series of checks to ensure that they are able to play the game. That means that they must have sufficient collateral in the AAVE protocol to cover the transaction value of the wager. They must also delegate credit to the game contract in the amount of the transaction value. If the player loses the game, they will take a loan in Go against their collateral and send it to the payment address. Once the player passes these checks, they can sign a transaction to join the game. The other players can share the link to this game, which includes the game ID as a parameter in the URL. This allows the application to retrieve the settings from the game contract and populate them on the web page. The other players must also agree to play the game, pass the credit checks, and sign a transaction to bind them in their participation. Once all of the players have joined the game, we can proceed to the final step. This is where the loser of the game is decided. The game contract requests a random number from a Chainlink decentralized Oracle network. This takes a few blocks to retrieve and confirm, but players can check on the status of the request on the subscription page if it seems like the request is taking a long time. Eventually, this verifiably random number is returned to the game contract and used to assign the cost burden to one of the players. There is a final round of checks at the contract level verifying that the players haven't revoked their credit delegation in the interim, and if they haven't, the losing player takes a loan in Go against their collateral in AAVE, and this freshly minted Go is sent to the payment address. In this game, we chose to settle the transaction across chains using CCIP. So the 77.77 Go that we borrowed was sent from the game contract to a CCIP sender contract. This was used to send the Go from Ethereum Sepolia, where it was minted and borrowed, to Arbitrum Sepolia, where it was received. And that was a demo of Credit Delegation Roulette, my ETH Global LFGHO Hackathon submission.